Today we'll be dealing with the types of immunity. So, whenever the lymphocytes encounter the antigen for the first time, it gets sensitized. You know there are two types of lymphocytes. There are T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. T lymphocytes get activated in the thymus gland and B lymphocytes in the bone marrow and other lymphoid organs. Activation means the lymphocytes are becoming immunocompetent. That means they are ready to fight against the antigens. So once they meet this antigen, they get sensitized and they give two types of responses which can be grouped under cell-mediated immunity and humoral immunity. First, let us discuss about cell-mediated immunity. The cell-mediated immunity is primarily by the T lymphocytes. So when the T lymphocytes encounters the antigen, which is the foreign particles or the foreign substances to the body, it gets sensitized and it proliferates in the lymphoid tissue. It is also differentiated into three types of cells. They are killer T cells, helper T cells, and memory T cells. The killer T cells are also called as cytotoxic T cells. The antigens which enter the body will enter specific cells through their receptors on the cell membrane. Once the antigen enters the cell will present this antigen to the lymphocytes and hence they are called as antigen presenting cells. So unless these cells present these antigen to the lymphocytes can't recognize or they can't identify that the antigen is present in these cells. That is why these cells are called as antigen presenting cells. So when the lymphocytes, especially the killer T cells, when they recognize these antigen presenting cells, they will destroy this antigen presenting cells, thereby indirectly destroying the antigens also. This destruction of the antigens takes place through substances called lymphokines. So the activities of the killer T cells is mediated through lymphokines. Some of the lymphokines are lymphotoxins and also interferons. Interferons are substances that are produced by virus-infected cells. So this will prevent further infection of the neighboring cells by the virus. Since the killer T cells directly destroy the cells, it is also called as cytotoxic cells. The other type of T cells is the memory T cells. The function of memory T cells is once they get sensitized with a specific antigen, they pass this memory regarding the antigenicity of a particular substance through to the further generations, so that the next generation or the next clone of T cells will have the memory about this particular antigen, and when they encounter this antigen for the second time, the response is very quick quantitatively and qualitatively. The other type of T cells is the helper T cells. These help in the proliferation of T lymphocytes and also activation of B lymphocytes.